So we heard all the arguments from AI naysayers. You can't use AI on large complex code bases that have grown over many years. You can't use AI to replace software developers or have huge efficiency gains. And if companies dare to use AI, then it'll create a huge mess and it'll delete their production database, etc., etc. So I figured we look at the code base to see what's actually going on. And that's very interesting because aws-cdk, and if you don't know, CDK is a way to deploy infrastructure as code in the cloud. And this is as complex almost as it gets, because you know how many services AWS has. CDK has been around for many, many years. And there were even some like questionable design decisions made like early on that makes it really hard to maintain and add on to the code and implement new features and new services. And AWS services change all the time, new config options, etc. CDK has to keep pace so people can deploy all these new options if they use CDK. And yeah, I used to check out that code base or that repo a lot. And recently I revisited it, and oh my gosh, so much has changed since like 4 years ago. And I suspect AI is behind a lot of that. So let's take a look. And obviously this code base has a lot of issues. There are some like issues that are not easily solved by human or AI. So right now it has 2,300 open issues. But let's take a look at some of these issues now versus what these GitHub issues looked like 4 years ago. And let me pick, let's pick a good one here. All right, let's see. Which one looks like it might have an interesting discussion? And I know, some of these look like, okay, they're all open. Describe the feature. And, you can see immediately here, there's an M dash. So obviously this is a human. And this answers the questions of people who say, well, if AI is so great at coding, why don't we see like a million, pull requests or solved code with AI in GitHub or whatever? And of course, it's still the human who drives it, but it's AI behind the scenes that, like, for example, writes this answer here to the inquiry. And I would bet that AI did the whole answer here, including the emoji, etc. All right, and they are still waiting to merge that in or whatever. Of course, we have limited visibility here, and some of this is just my observation by how smoothly things get answered in a comprehensive way when people open issues now versus 4 years ago. And we look here in a second how it looked with like older issues, like in 2019 or whatever. But all right, let's take another fairly new issue here. And yeah, man, this code base is so complex. All right, so here again, the same person, Pahood, answers all of these. So either this is like the most productive human on earth, or he's just using AI heavily, and then writes, very detailed answers, right away with the root cause. Identifies that it's not a CDK bug, but has to be addressed by the team that manages the service. Recommendation. This is, AI did that. AI, looked at the code base and was being able to write all that, diagnose. And you might disagree, but it's kind of weird that when we look at almost all of these issues, it'll be the same person, Bahoud, who just answers all of them. Let's see here. Another person reported a bug. again, it's like always Pahoot. So yeah, and you can see a human didn't write this with a nice diagram and stuff. Like, are you kidding me? Like, if any company is not using AI yet, what are you doing? Like, AI can diagnose issues. I mean, you can still have a human in the loop who kicks it off or whatever and eyeballs the results. But AI is so great at diagnosing, explaining it in a nice way. And you see all these M dashes here. This is all AI written, and makes people seen. Makes the people who opened issues feel that things are getting worked on. So you can look at yourself. Poke around in that repo on recent issues and see what's going on. And you see immediately that here this one person can suddenly do the job of where they had maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 people looking at issues. So let's go back in time, maybe to like page 100. And let's not do open issues. Let's do closed issues. And yeah, I meant to change it to like all issues, because obviously a lot of issues now get closed like this, where it used to take at least a week or 2 or more. Now a lot of issues get closed fairly quickly, like bugs closed left and right. So I changed it to not just the open issues. And let's go here to page, let's say 20, I think. All right, so we are now here in 2024. I don't know, maybe let's go even further back. So 2023. Well, this might have still, but you can already see like there's long discussions, long back and forth, where people were trying to find, what's going on. Let's go back even further in time, where we are sure that, AI was not part of the process. Oh, and yeah, when it comes to the bugs opened back then versus bugs now, if you do an analysis, you see like back then there were a lot of like stupid issues where somebody, just made like some rookie kind of error and that had to be addressed. And I know AWS got a lot of criticism for how they implemented AI internally, but I mean, one thing you do see is that the issues are not quite as stupid anymore. When you go to the recent past, but let's grab some random one here. Describe the bug. Function is not executed inside string template. All right, so that Pahoot has been around a long time. Actually, he must have changed his avatar. I swear I can still see his old avatar in my mind. See, and back then they had to go like, oh, can you provide a full minimal CDK app? I think they still require that now, sort of. Yeah, so this did not work out well back then. Let's look at another issue. And again, because I was deploying a lot of AWS, so I was looking at issues regularly, and it was a little bit sometimes aggravating that very competent people ran into problems with CDK trying to deploy infrastructure, and then the support that they got trying to report this was often not so good. But yeah, you can see a bit here. I mean, this is a super complex code base, and there's always been a lot of issues due to, partly the siloing that AWS does with different regions. that they came up with probably very early on to basically have like separate clouds for separate regions for the most part. But nowadays, a lot of cloud infrastructure is, across the world. So then you run into some problems with that. But you see, there's a lot of back and forth with, like experts discussing and stuff. And issues stayed open for a while. I'm just picking these at random. I probably should have like pre-selected some good ones, but you can check yourself and just go back in history, look at how issues were handled like way back when and what kind of issues there were in the code base versus now. And to me, it's like night and day. So AWS, of course, is one of the most technologically forward companies. So I feel like a lot of companies just aren't even close to even starting anything like this. Obviously, Jeff Bezos and, or the other top executives in charge now, they're very much pushing that down, whereas other companies are probably very hesitant. They ask their senior devs and architects, can we use AI? And you see on my channel, like how many senior devs and architects, say, oh, AI, AI can't handle our code base. AI can't help us, make things more efficient. We will still need our whole team. And so if executives get pushback from the people who know the tech best and saying, oh, AI can't do stuff, in most companies, then this will sort of die or people go into a wait and see mode or whatever. AWS is pushing that stuff down. So, it would be tedious to go through a lot of issues now. I mean, you can research that yourself and just see that, issues just used to generate a lot of discussion back and forth, like even just diagnosing stuff and what was actually going on. And now you have AI in the loop there, and like night and day. So I see stuff like that and I go like, okay, if every company suddenly made a big push towards using AI with the issues, integrating it tightly into their internal or external reporting system of bugs, and not have developers start poking manually through code to find issues, but always use AI first, and teach the developers to use AI well, so AI can handle even such a large code base, because you can't just open Cursor, open the aws-cdk code base and tell it, hey, can you, diagnose this error, and then paste the string. That's what noob AI users do, and it just doesn't work with a code base like that. So there needs to be a lot of training of how to best use it, to have AI help you. But like night and day between even 2022 and now, and this is all man hours here that I see, going back and forth, diagnosing stuff, and now either don't appear because there are fewer sloppy errors in the code that get into production, or when there are errors, you have AI helping knock out things fast. So when people say AI in software development is all hype, and it's, the companies, that want to sell AI, pushing it, and it doesn't really work, and it doesn't work with large code bases, don't believe it. That's so stupid. And that seems to be the consensus in so many developer circles. And you see what the Primogen says, and, a lot of other, prominent figures that post stuff online, and it just... I don't get it. So do your own research, look at what AI can do, play around with it a bunch, and, it's absolutely mind-blowing. And if you say AI can't take developer jobs, look at that code base, at how there were several people addressing issues and having discussions back and forth from the AWS side back then, even just in 2022, and that it's now this one Parut guy who's replying to everything in the most elegant, descriptive, fast way. And so end of rant.